Hey, my name's shawnshawn. I sell art on shawnshawn.co. Today we're going to react to Lioba Bruckner. She's a German artist on YouTube, so let's check it out. So looking at the YouTube channel, she has a nice kind of sideways going of one of her paintings. I really like this view. It has a really cut. You can see that she's a portrait, kind of illustrator style artwork. She has her signature right in the middle, so pretty strong. Maybe the signature should be a little bigger or off to the side, but I like that pretty well. She has a picture of on her profile of her painting. This is good. You know, she's a painter, but maybe she should be facing the camera, but otherwise pretty good. I would do this a lot bigger just as your face, because then you can see who it is, maybe with a paintbrush, because this just looks, it could be any woman painting, so you don't really know it's Lioba. So scrolling down, she has videos, all the good stuff, which I'm assuming is maybe the popular topics. I'd probably put that ahead of just the regular video feed. Watercolor tutorials, oil painting tutorials, shorts. So pretty succinct. I kind of like that format. It's pretty straightforward. Yeah, so let's get into the videos. I think that's a pretty good format, and she has her website right off the top here. So the first video is called 5 Art Hacks That Actually Work Watercolors and Colored Pencils.
Hey guys, and welcome to my art hacks video for color pencils and watercolors. In this video I'm going to share 5 hacks that are crucial to survive as an artist. Real quick before we start, for more painting tutorials.
So a really quick intro. She gets right into the meat of what it's about, so that's really good. She probably should introduce herself maybe, like I'm Lioba, I'm a painter, blah blah blah, but I think that's the only ad I would have. Let's go a little bit ahead.
What notice is the graininess when we apply pigment. Sometimes that can be really annoying, and it can destroy the
really
desired
good detail
effect
shot
that we're looking for, especially when we draw realistically. There are a couple of techniques that are super helpful that will get rid of the grain easily. The first technique is, if you know what base color your artwork has, mix this color with watercolor and fill in the area with that color before you draw into it with color pencils. The watercolor will sink into every pore of the paper, covering every white spot perfectly, and leave the paper with a
All right, let's skip ahead a little bit, guys.
Reach most of the pores in the paper. It will significantly decrease the grain while polishing the paper and leaving your artwork with a beautiful shine. If you still have a couple of deeper pores that seem impossible to reach, then use luminance pencils from Caran d'Arche. They add
Really
a
good
layer
detail
of
shots
wax
here
on top of your drawing and blend all the pigments perfectly together. Choose a color that matches your artwork. Luminance pencils are highly opaque, and choosing a color that is too light can add a gray veil over your artwork. Sometimes that can be the desired effect, for example for skin tones. To get a photorealistic effect, just combine the two masses. Start with watercolors and perfect it with lots of color pencil layers to finish it. This will give you a result that looks almost like a photo or an oil painting. Number 2. The short pencil hack. You probably have all encountered this common problem. You bought an expensive color pencil and you used it until it's too small to hold it. But there's still so much of the pigment in the pencil lead that would be wasted if you would just throw the pencil away. Don't worry, there's a solution to that problem. Many art supply stores sell these pencil holders. You can just stick your pencil in them and fasten them with the little metal ring. Now you can use the pencil until it's actually used up. By the way, I've listed this and all the materials that I cover in this video in the description with links to purchase them. Number 3. The uneven ice hack.
I'm going to skip ahead, skip that one.
Or drawing. What can we do? I like to use luminance color pencils from Caran d'Arche again. Yes, they seem to be a solution to almost everything. This trick works when the eyes you drew are slightly uneven. It obviously doesn't work if one eye is completely off. What you now need to do is to check your drawing from a distance. Notice what parts need to be worked on and use luminance pencils to correct your drawing. Remember, they are opaque and able to cover mistakes. But be careful and make only one correction at a time, because from a close-up view, we are mostly not able to see the symmetry as good as from a distance. So in order to get the desired
That's a really good point. Let's skip ahead a little bit more.
Permanently. So please protect your clothes and the table, and also keep in mind that they are water resistant once they dry. So painting over them with watercolors can be a bit tricky. Also going over them with color pencils can be a bit difficult.
I like the fact she has short nails. That's more practical. You have some artists that are female, they have like painted nails and everything, which looks cool, but then it's like, how are you an artist with painted nails? So she actually is a painter, you know, she has short nails. I totally believe that.
because they are acrylics and when they dry, they are like a plastic layer. When you only use a thin layer of inks, you can still work over it with color pencils and watercolors. Only when the ink gets too thick, it's not possible anymore. This is why I always add at least...
So really amazing details, zooms in. Here's something out he's facing the camera.
...plethora of watercolor pads and blocks that I don't use. And that is for a reason. Not every watercolor paper has a quality that is needed for specific techniques. For some techniques, you need to be able to lift off watercolor pigment, or you want to layer watercolor to reach a realistic outcome, for example. But not every watercolor paper allows that technique. Some watercolor papers just suck in all the pigment, and whenever you layer new colors on top, it reactivates the bottom layers. The colors get lifted off and you end up with a smudge. I've tested a couple of watercolor papers and I personally like Fabriano hot pressed watercolor paper, Grana Satan.
It's interesting, I always heard cold press was the best, but...
Matte. This is my favorite paper, but I also like Arst's paper.
So I think it's a good video. Let me skip to the next video, guys, just for time's sake. This is called Art Nouveau Revival Modern Mixed Media Techniques.
Really excited to share my newest painting with you, which is inspired by Art Nouveau, a style which I'm very passionate about. If you're not familiar with it, it's an art style that was popular at the end of the 19th century. And it's characterized by its intricate compositions, pastel colors, romantic motifs, and flowing lines that are heavily influenced by natural forms.
So let's skip. It was kind of cool start.
To it simply as Murat style. Nevertheless, today, he is one of the most known artists associated with it. When I saw his paintings in person for the first time at a museum in Prague, I truly fell in love with it. Murat's paintings encompass everything I admire about Art Nouveau. But what matters to me just as much as being inspired by the past is to add a modern touch to it. Therefore, my artwork is my modern interpretation of the classic Art Nouveau beauty. In traditional paintings, you often see more voluptuous women, as that was the beauty standard of that time. For my painting though, I went for slightly different looks that might remind you of Ariel from The Little Mermaid or maybe another Disney princess.
Let's skip ahead a little bit, guys.
Placing the model's hand with my own and by adding color lilies, some of my favorite flowers. For me,
really
this flower
color.
has an ethereal, almost mysterious beauty, which I think complements the overall theme of the painting.
Great pacing.
Did you know
too.
that the natural habitats of some color lilies are swamps? I don't know why I
think she has a really good flow in this video. It's just going just right at real-time painting. I think we're skipping around, so we're missing a lot of pieces, but you can see it's just nice painting and talking at the same time. I think this is probably the best format as far as how to do a painting tutorial. Just do a voiceover later and kind of add it to it. I think it's really strong, but I would add a head-on shot at the beginning, maybe a head-on shot at the end. Give a more personality bond, I think.
Fascinated by swamps, maybe because they are so eerie, yet romantic and beautiful, so I cherish everything that reminds me of them.
It's a great camera angle too. Let's skip ahead.
A combination of warm and cool tones with these reds and turquoises brought a beautiful and homogeneous splatter effects with watercolor. These touches helped to enhance the details and gave off a painterly impression in my opinion. I named this artwork Elysio Aurum, which loosely translates to Gold of Elysium in Latin with the poet.
Let's skip to the end here.
Shimmering sticker for my Patreon postcard collectors. Hurry up to get these before July ends. Speaking of Patreon, if you're curious about the complete painting process of Elysio Aurum and the materials used, you can find them on my Patreon page as well. In addition, my patrons gain access to an extensive library of over 200 painting videos and tutorials, providing a wealth of knowledge and inspiration. I hope you didn't mind this long-winded housekeeping at the end of the video.
I like how she's just adding a little touch of color here to really make that color pop, like that blue on top of the red. It's just like, mwah. So well done, you know, such great painterly touches to make the eye move around the canvas. Let's move on to the next video. This one's called I Paint Myself as a Waterhouse Painting. So I think she's interpreting a famous painter here.
Lot is a masterpiece in art history. The enraptured look of the young woman in a boat, adorned by beautiful long hair and finely embroidered tapestry, hypnotizes the viewer. Immersed in a melancholic autumnal water landscape, with tangled reeds in the foreground.
Okay, let's get to the painting.
Incredibly difficult to create your own interpretation and capture at least a little bit of the original's magic. Waterhouse took his inspiration from the great Victorian painters, such as Sir Lawrence Alma-Tadema or Edward Burne-Jones, and developed his own style from it, in which classicism, romanticism, fantasy, and reality are interwoven. Personally, I feel very connected to the imagery of this painter, since I also play with elements of realism, fantasy, or even surrealism in my art. Nevertheless, I'm still far away from the excellence of these old masters, and therefore intend to keep getting better with each painting, so I had to give this project my absolute best. Since this is a commission, it was essential for me to include the preferences and ideas of my collectors in this piece. My art collectors are from Newfoundland and have a special connection to boats. Having been to Norway,
really cool art. Let's skip ahead a little bit, guys.
To have perfect control over lighting, pose and clothing, I decided to model myself and potentially replace the face with someone else's. But when I reviewed the photos, I thought with a little Photoshop here and there and removing some thick ankles, the photos were actually quite good. So I turned the painting into a self-portrait. Staying true to the story, I hold...
It's funny because they say a lot of people that do portraits are usually painting themselves a lot of time, especially like, say, for example, Mona Lisa, that's very suspected that Leonardo was painting himself in there. Because if you didn't know, he was secretly gay, but it was kind of known at the time that he wasn't gay, but it was kind of hushed up later on as he was seen as the master and views became more conservative on sexuality. So it's kind of interesting how that changes over time. But yeah, a lot of people trying to paint themselves into paintings when we do portraits.
A little mirror in my hand, while having the embroidered tapestry being represented in the form of modern tattoos. But there is a third element in this painting that is neither in Waterhouse's original nor in the story. Can you spot it? Of course, it's Gustav Klimt's decor patterns and shapes that I wanted to bring into my painting, no matter how.
So she's using time-lapse here to make it go really quick. Skip further ahead here, guys.
Background multiple times until it looked somewhat even, and then I didn't dare to touch it ever again. With a blue Copic marker that I especially bought for this occasion, I drew in the tattoos. The marker allowed me to draw exact and fine lines, and it worked like a charm. Overall, it took me a few weeks painting on and off to finally complete this 120 by 83 centimeter large artwork. And this is how the finished painting looks like. And to be honest,
I think it's really good, but I really hate the drips. I just think it's not a good ad. If you use really fine drips maybe and then kind of paint them down, I think it could have been better from my perspective. But I use drips myself, but it's such a realism painting. You add these drips, it just looks like you messed up the painting to me.
I'm quite happy with the result. It's an amalgamation of different styles and ideas, yet it's true to my own style. What do you think? If you are now inspired by the old masters yourself and also want to paint an interpretation or recreation of a painting, join me on Patreon and make art together with me, inspired by masters like Van Gogh, Gustav Klimt or Alfons Mucha. But if that sounds a bit overwhelming to you, you can instead follow...
Wow, she has really amazing painterly technique. Let's go check out her website, guys. Her website is lioba.info, so you always want to have a .com. Info, people are gonna... It just makes it hard to sell. So she has her shop right out of the gate, which is great. You can just go straight to shopping mode. She had some what's for sale, what's sold out. I would just have the sold out and then have the sale just sale. But oh, maybe this is a discount, so she's dropped the price a little bit. These are her prints. So a really good price on the prints, all 60 pounds. That's not that much. That's probably 80 US dollars, probably maybe 90 Canadian. So very reasonable price for the high quality of what you're getting. I think that's really cool, especially with watercolor. It doesn't tend to, the colors fade over time if people don't know, even if you protect them. So if you get a print, then it's probably going to be more durable than the actual original watercolor, sadly. You might want to take off some of this sold out or increase the prices if you're selling out that fast. You probably only want to have one or two sold out. She has limited edition prints. These are totally sold out, I guess. All her originals sold out, so she's probably underpricing. You know, she's having a lot of success probably on YouTube, maybe TikTok, and she's just really selling at a price, so she probably should be really much more higher price, I think. If she's selling out this fast, if you can't keep up with her production, you definitely want to increase the prices. She has tutorials, so that's really cool. Watercolor, oil acrylics, water shop, video without narration. I don't know if you're learning, it's kind of strange. I don't know if these go to, oh, these are right off her website, it looks like. And she has various courses. So this is really smart, really established herself as the expert. And that allows you to sell the paintings for more. But you can tell from the high quality that she's a really established artist. So I don't even think she needs to do classes, but it's just kind of good that she does this. It teaches you how to teach, and you get better at your craft the more you teach. So it's always good to have teaching, and she has a lot of stuff here. So there's just a lot of material to work with. So that's really impressive. She has live classes. I guess these are an online class maybe. So this is pretty cool. I mean, she has some of her students' work, so that's kind of cool because she shows her students getting better. Not bad. You know, some of these students are have potential, others don't have as much potential, but very, very well done. So that's pretty cool to show. She has some of her paintings, like 2023. I don't know if these are sold out or not. Let's just click one. So these don't really say if it's sold or what, or portfolio. I guess they're just portfolio. All artists usually do this because they work a lot more with galleries than say selling straight from themselves. So if she's working with galleries, probably this makes sense, this layout, because you don't want to really announce your full painting price. I don't know. It's kind of like that old school 1990s mentality. I don't know. She does have she has what it is. This is a commission. These are commission. So maybe mostly these are commissions then. Really, really cool work. I like it a lot. I'm not really this illustrating collecting guy, but it's really high quality. Very collectible, obviously. And she has works dating back 10 years. So let's see if her earliest works. Yeah, here you can see it's just kind of your standard, like she's just kind of figuring herself out. And then as you get to the later work, you see like, oh, she's kind of figured out the style she likes and where it's going. And it's just a lot cooler. You know, you can see the evolution of the artist. So that's really cool. She has a Patreon page, which is always smart. If you're a really good artist, you can get a lot of people to go there and kind of support you as well through Patreon. I'm just going to let that die there. Let's go back. She has an about, which you always need an about page, I guess, as an artist. I would do a video here, but it's kind of cool. This is a traditional about page where you just talk about yourself. She has some of her press, some of her major shows, so that's cool. Really, really nice to work. Just a simple contact page. She has her email here, but she doesn't have it, so you can sample it right off. So that's makes it a little easier probably for her to sign up. She also has a newsletter sign up. So then she has a blog page. I have a blog page. It's kind of like, I don't know if a blog page is that important nowadays, but it does give you a lot of SEO stuff. If you write a lot on your blog, it's going to draw a lot of SEO to your website. So that's really important. This is pretty cool because she has really big pictures. She has in-depth talking about her artwork and what she thinks about it. So that's really cool. Talks about some of her, it's just all centered in artwork. So it's very tightly knitted blog, which is really good. Mine, I've done videos on movie reviews in the past, so this is really tight. I think it's much more tight to just focus on art, which is ideally how you want to focus. I think an art website is just tightly or only around art, teaching, classes, commissions, artwork, and that's what she has. So it's just exactly what you need, nothing more, nothing less. So I go check her out. She's a really good illustrative style artwork with a lot of kind of dreamy mix of different styles, which I think is really cool. I give her a big thumbs up. If you'd like to subscribe, you can subscribe below, and I'll see you in the next